way for us to send instructions between different tools so they can talk to each other. And it's a common language for different applications to speak to each other. So we can tell instructions over to from Power Automate and ask it to go do something on your legacy system. But if your legacy system doesn't have an API, then we would use the robotic process automation bot to actually log on to the computer, and it's a piece of software that runs as if you're a person. So it looks at the screen and it's moving the mouse and keyboard, clicking on the screen as if it's a person, and it goes and does that legacy task directly in the system. Maybe the tool doesn't have APIs, or it's running on an older system like Windows 7 or even Windows XP, and then we would go and install the robotic process automation bot, train it on how to click through where the buttons are in your program to submit a record, load some data, view some data, and then we can take that back into the cloud and do some further steps with it for automations afterwards. So if you have some legacy like expense reporting system, we could still submit an expense through a modern form and put it into your classic database as an example. The RPA bot's not perfect, but there's definitely a lot of cases where if you don't have options to automate, you can probably still do something with RPA.
I might just tuck in a follow-on question to that, Riley. How well, particularly with legacy environments where organizations are moving either out of obsolete systems or even paper-based environments, even in today's day and age, we still have clients that are doing that. How much do you have to pay attention to information governance and the underlying data architecture before you can get started on applying some of these tools?
I think it's really important. I would say it's not critical in the sense that depending on what's happening downstream to your project, I've seen some lack of foresight not really be a problem in our world, but it is really important to, plan as much as you can ahead of time for this and really understand the data models where most of these projects will fail. So if you thoroughly understand what's happening to the data, where it's coming and going, then you'll be setting yourself up for success by doing that basic planning.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I think that might be all the time that we've got. So why don't we just move smoothly over to the how do we get in touch with you, and then how do people get in touch with us? And then I'll finish off with a couple of concluding remarks here. So thanks, Clelia. So what we've got on screen here is social media handles and email contact information for Bauer Automate. You can see that on the left-hand side of the screen. And we'll make this material available to the audience as well following. So either grab a screenshot, or we can certainly follow up and we'll reach out to people that have participated today. And similarly, on the right-hand side, how do we contact Blue Monarch? So symbol admin. Please continue to follow both organizations on our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts. Riley, I want to thank you for giving your time, your skill, your experience, and some of your stories today. This is the first of a really interesting series of conversations around what I think is a trend to stay, is how do we start to drive either low value or high transactional work either out of the organization completely or into a repeated and hidden space to allow the human brain power to be able to get on to bigger and better things. So really, really interesting series that we're queuing up here. And it's pretty clear that you're good at what you do. So thank you for attending.
Well, thank you for having me as a part of this. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I've just been impressed with what Blue Monarch's been doing from that planning perspective. So happy to be a supporting part of the automation that we see in businesses.
Excellent. Thanks, Riley. And to the audience members that attended today, thank you very much for giving up part of your Friday morning. It's great to have you, and we look forward to a continued conversation with you soon.
Thanks, everyone.